Oh, God, I feel like I should have brought some coffee. I'm gonna go see a friend of mine. A while ago, like maybe last week, I was thinking about what if we control reality? Like just say that what if what if reality is a little bit different than we think? What if like there's a kind of consciousness that is kind of not only is reality, but like consciousness isn't just like located inside my noggin. Consciousness is a kind of a broadcast that's everywhere. You know, like trees pick up on it, frogs pick up on it, gray African parrots pick up on it. Why I was thinking about that is there have been like I did a thing on just research on women inventors, female inventors, and a lot of them said the same thing. Like these thoughts, these inventions, and these thoughts will just keep coming. Because why they said that is because a really popular copyright thing to do is people try to hijack other people's copyrights, and sometimes they're successful. There's actually companies that used to do that, probably still do that, as their business plan. Their business plan is to hijack copyrights. The government does that too, by the way. The government has a system that if you file for a copyright, they reserve the right to take your idea from you and to prevent the whatever invention you create from being known. That was done with an early solar, one of the very first solar panels that I think was over 20% effective. Like solar panels like now, I think are like just a little bit over 20% effective, like 22%. So this one, like this person developed one a long time ago, long before that was a reality, and that copyright was seized. So I guess it's like a double thing, like that if we're receiving information, like I was saying in that video earlier about like there was a cougar looking down on me when I was hiking, and I could feel that something or someone was following me. And when I only got to a place where like no one could possibly be following me because I'm on a narrow ledge along a trail, and I looked straight up and there's the cougar looking over a cliff. Like I could tell if something was happening. So it's like you're receiving information. Like I believe two people, and there's been multiple times where inventions have been made around the world at almost the exact same time, and in some cases, was it the phone that two different people filed for the patent for a phone on the same day within hours of each other, and so then that gets investigated. Like, were you guys in contact with one another? But like they both had all their paperwork and documentation of every step of their learning, along with witnesses that both witnessed two different people come with the same idea. So maybe the idea is actually kind of theirs as receivers, but kind of broadcast in that people think something's possible and suddenly it becomes possible. Like everyone's like, hey man, what's a way to have a nuclear bomb? And then countries around the world like all work it out about the same time because they're focused on it. Sure, but like maybe because that information's available. There's things about twins being separated at birth, and I think I mentioned this, that there was a national in the United States. There's a national firefighters gathering and it's a huge big deal. And the people who give you your name tags have a thing where they look for identical twins, because what happens is this guy comes in, says his name's John Smith, and he gets the John Smith's name tag, and then another guy walks in, sometimes named John Smith, and it's the same guy, and they're like, hey, you're twins here. He's like, I don't have a brother. And they're like, yes, you do. And they just laugh about it, because like, that's the other thing. It's like, these people, they're familiar with twins being separated at birth and both becoming firefighters, and both their wives are named Nancy, and they both own poodles named Ducks or something like that. These weird, that can't be a coincidence kind of thing. But then here's the thing, how about the 4-minute mile? Like, there's like records that people break, and then suddenly it's possible. Like, no one could do this thing, and then someone does it, and now it's possible. Like, it wasn't possible before. And it just seems almost like they created the possibility by wanting it. And then once someone sees that, like, hey, someone can do this thing, and now they could do that thing. Like, it was like, sure, like, you could be inspired, but everyone was trying to do that to begin with, you know, until someone could. So there are also people that, like, seem to no matter how much they fail, they can't stop winning, if that makes any kind of sense. I saw a thing on successful people on like such and such brilliant person getting kicked out of school, or such and such brilliant businessman failed like 10 businesses in a row. But maybe, you know, it's just because they didn't give up. Obviously they didn't give up because their 12th business like worked. Or this person that failed over and over again at everything they attempted became the president of the United States at one point in time. Maybe it's they don't give up, but you could also see instances in their life where, like, holy smokes, like, that seemed to be just the perfect opportunity for you. Gonna blow my nose. And those perfect opportunities just keep coming. Like the classic, like, showed up on the shores of a new country with $6 in their pocket. You know, like, how do you take $6 and turn it into a fortune? You know, like, but then you look at their life and you could kind of explain it, but then also kind of like they just got really lucky. They were in the right place at the right time. A little bit more fortune seemed to be involved. Like, do you believe in luck? You know, like, that luck seems to be a thing. Like, we talk about luck all the time. Like, that was lucky. Like, things that seem to be are so far out of the statistical likelihood that it's real noticeable that took place. So then my point, Jesus said 9 minutes in, my point about this is, like, someone was talking about simulation theory, and like our reality seems to have some game physics to it, which when I first started playing games that had like simulation games that had NPCs and stuff like that, and I'm like, holy smokes, like, I know that, like, art is supposed to reflect life and reality and vice versa, But man, I see video game behavior all the time now. Now, like, you obviously see what you look for, but I see these weird, ever-present behaviors, things that seemingly people cannot avoid. Like, for instance, if you're 7 feet tall, how many times a day does someone say, "How tall are you?" Like, that's gonna be for that tall person, that's gonna be the rest of their life. Like, people will not be able to not ask that question. They have to ask that question. If this was a video game, and video games have certain kinds of programming, like a certain period amount of people that you're going to be around, someone's going to want to interact with you. They're going to want to say something, and the more you try to avoid these interactions, the video game adjusts its parameters so that you can, because you have to interact with a certain amount of NPCs. Like a good video game, like if you played Skyrim and never saw an NPC, that'd be a bad video game. So the video game adjusts so that you do. But then it also brings, obviously everyone's real, but it also brings strange coincidences into your life. Like from the classic, I was thinking about someone and they called me, and they hadn't called me for like 3 years or something like that. Or I was fighting with my next door neighbors for a couple of years, or they were fighting with me. And then my friend calls me up, who hardly ever calls me up, and says, I was in a car accident. And I'm like, I'm just waking up, and I look out my window and I see my neighbor's car all banged up. And I describe the car, and they're like, yeah, that's the car that hit me. And I'm like, that's my neighbor. And they're like, no, it isn't. And I'm like, yeah, it is. And yeah, it was. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, these strange coincidences of all the millions of people in my city, in this area. And we don't live close together at all, actually. They live like more like 40, 45, well, maybe closer to 50 minutes away, closer to an hour away. So like, they're not close. So anyway, if it's a video game, they're like, well, if it's like a video game, then so what? I'm like, well, if it's a video game and you play it like a video game, then aren't you going to get different results? If it's real life and you play it like real life, you're going to be walking by people who are 7 feet tall, and you're going to say, man, how tall are you? But if it's a video game, you're going to be like thinking like, well, what's the end game? I mean, what do I want? Do I want this car, or do I want a better car? Do I want that house, or do I want a better house? Do I want to be an adventurer, or do I want to be a scholar? Like in a video game, you wouldn't hesitate to just change your mind, try a different path, experiment. See, I was just thinking about getting into that lane, and that person had been behind me the entire time. Pulls up alongside me. Now they get out of the way, because I noticed. Now I'm gonna get over. Yeah, if this was a video game, how different would your behavior be? Because people talk about that too. They're like, this is your one life. This is not practice. Figure out what you want and don't give up until you get it. And you see so many people pulling that off. And the thing is, like, some people that really stick to a certain kind of thing, and obviously if you stick to a certain kind of thing, you're going to get to a certain level of proficiency. You're going to be like Eddie Van Halen. But there's kind of quirky people as well that like end up reaching like these pinnacles of success. You remember, like, I can't remember the guy that used to do movies about skiing, and I think this might be my ex. And they just didn't want to work. All they wanted to do was ski. And they just kept doing that for years and years and years. And then people just started giving them money. You know, like, same thing. I've seen that thing with surfers and skaters and like, I want to represent you and I want you to like compete in this one contest for $20 and you could crash at my place, you know, like, but then, you know, down the line, you know, someone's designing a video game about them and they're, you know, they have their own brand of skateboards or whatever. Like, I could think of countless examples. There's like 2 guys along the Oregon coast actually. One took a class on making kayaks. So he just took one class, and then he came home and started making kayaks, or his own another kayak. And someone's like, "Can you show me how to do that?" He's like, "Well, yeah. I mean, I paid this much for the class, so you pay me that much money, and I'll show you how to do it." And now he does it. That's his business. He took one class, and now hippie chicks go camp on his property in the summer, and he makes money, he sells kayaks, and he probably gets back rubs too. And another guy on the Oregon coast probably does not get back rubs because of this. Took a class on making a bow, hunting bow, and same thing. Someone's like, "Hey, can I buy one of those from you?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, I mean, you could buy this one." And then 2 of my friends want to buy from you. And, you know, he's like, "All right, well, I gotta charge you more money though, because that's gonna be a lot of time." And they're like, no worries. And then he had this waiting list of people, and people are starting to say like, "Hey, have you got to my bow yet?" And so he started raising the price, figuring it would shorten the list. And instead, the list kept getting longer. And so then he really raised the price to like just price people out. And the list got shorter, but the list was still there. He still had like 6 months worth of work. And then he was working, you know, on the bows before work, working on the bows after work, working on his bows on the weekends. And then suddenly he realized, I'm making way more money with these bows than I make at my job. And just quit his job. Like, it hadn't computed that he was suddenly like he's depositing his bow checks, and he suddenly realized, oh, that's twice as much as my paycheck for half as much work, or way less than that much work, because it was only like weekends and a little bit after work kind of thing. And yeah, he went from being grumpy about it being tickled pink. Something to think about.